first of all, just tell us who you are.
Yeah, so a little bit of information about me. My name is Blake Payne. I'm currently the fire chief at the Greater Springfield Volunteer Fire Station. Operationally, I'm a unit officer, which means, I'm in charge of a fire engine. I can also ride as a battalion chief in the county. I've been in Fairfax County. I joined my fire station in 1995. So I've been doing this many, many years, and I started volunteering way before I even got to Fairfax County. So I've got, thousands upon thousands of calls under my belt, running in various jurisdictions from Roanoke up to Northern Virginia and all over Northern Virginia. As a fire engine, I can fill in at any fire station in Fairfax County on any given Saturday. So I've seen all of Fairfax County. I've seen pretty much all the roads, all the conditions, you name it, the type of speed bump, speed hump that's out there. I've driven over it in both an EMS unit and a fire engine. And not just driving normally, driving while responding to calls, whether they're EMS calls or whether they're fire related calls. It doesn't matter. I've driven over all of them.
And just for people who don't know, what does EMS stand for?
Emergency medical services. So because I'm also a paramedic, so I ride, put medic units in service. So I'm the one that transports people to the hospital. So I can also address the question as to whether or not people complain when we drive over speed bumps because of painful injuries and stuff like that.
Okay, so how long have you been at this particular location?
At Springfield since 1995.
Okay, wow. All right, so I assume that you are familiar with the standard speed humps that are in this area and driving over them with emergency vehicles, correct?
Oh yes, yeah. We've got both asphalt, we've got rubberized speed humps. So there's different types of them that are out there. So I've seen them all.
Okay. Are you familiar with the ones that are on Essex Avenue?
Yes.
Okay. You've driven over those?
Oh yes.
Okay, because those are probably going to be the same kind that we're going to have.
Okay.
So that gives you a clear sense of what we're talking about.
Same thing. Yep.
So I guess my question to you is, first of all, let's talk about the having to slow down because of the speed humps. Tell me your experience as far as that's concerned.
Well, yes, we are going to slow down because we're not going to hit the speed bump at full speed in a fire engine because it risks dislodging some of the equipment we carry. But you got to realize, when we approach a speed hump, we're going at a good speed. And we're not going. We're going through a neighborhood, so regardless, even if a speed hump was not there, we're not going to be like pedal to the metal anyway, just because it's a neighborhood and we're always looking out for things. We have to maintain a safe driving position regardless of what's on the road, depending on where you are. I-95, okay, we can go a lot faster because I'm not worried about a child running out in front of me. Whereas in a neighborhood setting, you never know what could happen. So you have to slow down anyway. A speed hump, yeah, we'll slow down a little bit more, but usually like in a fire engine, we'll take the first set of wheels will go over it at a faster speed. Then we'll hit the brakes so that the rear wheels go over it slower. That just keeps like the hose and everything staying in place. And then once we're past the speed hump, hit the gas and accelerate a little bit more until we get to the next one. Okay. So I mean, you're talking, maybe a couple seconds, slower per speed hump, which in the grand scheme of things doesn't make much of a difference regardless of what you're going to.
Okay. And when you go over these speed humps, is there any damage to your vehicle?
No, I mean, as long as we slow down when those rear wheels go over it, nothing's going to happen to our vehicle. I mean, obviously, if we go over it at full speed, yeah, we could risk potential damage, but obviously we don't do that.
Have you guys ever had damage from hitting a speed bump too fast?
Not that I'm aware of. I know people have hit them faster than they probably should, but I don't know of any damage that's happened because of that.
Okay. Then turning to the emergency vehicles, I guess you're more like an ambulance. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah. How about driving over with those? Any difference or anything?
No, it's pretty much the same. Obviously, we'll go a little bit faster if we're going to the call versus if we have a patient in the back. Anytime we have a patient in the back, we always drive, even more carefully, especially depending on the condition of the patient. If the patient was in like a car accident and we put them on a backboard, which is a hard board, obviously you want to keep things as smooth as possible, because you hit a bump in the road, they're going to feel it. And that's the thing, with the roads around here, you're more likely to hit a pothole and cause pain for your patient than a speed bump is, because we know the speed bump's coming. So we're always going to slow down and go over that speed bump very controlled and very slowly. So odds are, the patient might feel a little movement, but they might not even realize we're going over a speed bump because we go over it so slowly with them in the back.
So have you ever had a situation with, one of these patients back there where you've gone over a speed bump and they've, been in pain or it's caused pain to them because you've gone over the speed hump? Okay.
Yeah, the only times I've had patients complain, or we're just driving down normal streets and you just run through like a bunch of potholes that we just can't avoid, So, you hit the holes, and unfortunately there's just nothing you can do. And, unfortunately the patients, complain about that. And, we apologize. It's like, look, I'm sorry, the roads aren't what we'd like them to be, but we just kind of have to deal with it.
So just so we're perfectly clear, you have had more complaints about people with potholes, hitting potholes, than you had with speed bumps, correct?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, completely correct.
And in fact, I would say, I guess 0 as far as speed humps is concerned, but several as far as potholes.
Exactly.
Okay. Is with regard to the difference in speed, has that made any difference at any point with regard to getting to a location or getting to the hospital? The fact that you've had to go over speed bumps?
No, I can't say it's affected us in any way. There's probably no way you can, figure out, like say a house was on fire, an extra 5 or 10 seconds isn't going to do anything. The fire is going to keep burning, but the extra 5-10 seconds, nothing, it's not going to get that much worse in 5 or 10 seconds that we might have been slowed down by a speed bump.
Okay. With regard to getting to a location that has speed bumps, would that change your route in any way or make you go a different way?
Probably not, because we always try to get to the house in the quickest way possible. And if we had to go like around another street, that would potentially take even longer than having to go over the speed bumps to begin with. So we've got a GPS system in our units that that routes us, and the system knows about all the streets. It knows about the streets with speed humps, so it's able to calculate what our speed would be and tell us the quickest way to get there. So in most cases, I would say we wouldn't change our route, just because changing it would probably add on more time to end with.
Okay. Now, we've been talking about your personal experiences in your role, but with regard to people you have worked with, have they ever made any statements about speed humps or speed bumps and complaining about them?
No.
Okay. Have they complained about the potholes?
Okay. Well, yeah. I think everybody complains about the potholes, but yeah, it's just speed bumps. And like all of our drivers, you just know it's just a fact of life, and some areas have them, some areas don't, and the areas that have them, you deal with them. So it's not not a big deal.
Okay.
So if you guys were going to respond to a call in our neighborhood, like we're in Crestwood, so Hibbling, we're in the middle, kind of off of Hanover. You guys will probably take Backlick Road and maybe Essex to get to us, or one of those.
Yeah, it just depends on which side. Either take Backlick or the Old Key Mill down to Hanover, or Essex, that side. Just depends on where your house is, as to which side we'd come in on.
So that's how you decide which way you come, is based on where we're at on that block. Yep. So since the Essex speed humps have gone in, I think it's been 2 years, might be 1 year. I think it's been 2 years. Has anybody said anything about, man, I hate going that way, or I'd rather just go Old Game Hill Road, or it takes too long?
I haven't heard anybody at my fire station say anything about it. So
Okay, so but you guys would primarily be who would respond if our houses caught fire or if we needed a.
Yes. Yeah, you'd have a bunch of the fire engines, but we'd be the first one to get there. You'd have station that's off of Etzel Road coming in. You'd probably have the station from West Springfield, which is station 27 coming in. So you'd have a bunch of fire engines from a bunch of different fire stations coming, but we'd be the first ones to get to that area.
Okay.
Just curious, do you have a personal opinion or as far as speed humps, whether they're a good thing, or speed bumps, whether they're a good thing or not?
I mean,
professionally or personally?
I'd say for both. Obviously, I've been around a long time. I've seen a lot of accidents. And unfortunately, I've seen a lot of accidents involving children that have gotten hit by vehicles that were probably driving too fast in a neighborhood. Because, if you're driving at an excessive speed, and like I said earlier, if that child loses a ball and darts out into the street, how fast can they react? And could they even stop in time? And in some cases, they haven't been able to. And unfortunately, the child has been struck. Whereas if you had a speed hump, that would obviously slow the traffic down, which obviously makes things a lot safer, for kids or anybody in the neighborhood. I'm for them. I don't have them around where I live. I live up in Herndon. But I would definitely be all for them if they were to put them in my area. I mean, not that I don't think I have a lot of people speeding through my area anyway. But it prohibits that. It keeps people from going at a higher rate of speed, which could potentially cause injuries to kids or even adults. So,
in your personal opinion, would you buy a house on a street that had a speed hump on it? And would you buy a house that had one in front of it? Would that prohibit it?
It wouldn't bother me. I mean, it wouldn't affect my decision if that's what you're getting at. It would not affect my decision to buy a house if there was a speed hump anywhere near my house.
Okay.
Well, one of the things that we have done is intentionally made it so that you can get to any house without having to go over a speed hump. Just the way that we designed it, there's always a street in between, so that if you're coming in, via Hanover, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
you'd be able to get to your home without having to go over a speed hump.
Wow.
Is that something that would be helpful? Would that kind of work into, which route you would take as far as responding?
It might not affect our route getting in, but if the drivers knew about it, that could definitely affect their route going out. Just because, if they didn't want to worry about, if the patient was backboarded and they didn't want to worry about possibly, causing any pain by going over the speed bump with the patient, if they knew there was another way they can go without having to go over it, that might affect their way to leave. Again, I don't think it would affect coming in, especially if coming in over the speed hump is going to be faster. I'm going to choose the faster route. I don't care if there's a speed hump there or not. So, but going out, it could definitely affect them.
Okay.
Do you guys have an average call time for a response for a fire, and do you have an average for ambulance?
Like in terms of like how long it takes to get to a call, I'm sure Fairfax County does. Like we, over the county as a whole, we shoot for like a 5-minute response time from when we're dispatched. Obviously, depending on where the call is, sometimes we get there a lot quicker than that. Depending on situation, sometimes it might take a little bit longer. But 5 minutes is what we normally shoot for.
So that's gear and all, get in the car, get in the truck and drive and get there? Okay. And so you're talking, like a few seconds extra if you had to go over our speed humps per hump?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's not that much, because when you figure, like, if we're going to a house fire, basically from when the tones go off, we're basically on the road, like fully dressed on the road in, less than a minute, driving down the road. It might take a couple extra seconds, to slow down for a speed bump and then speed back up again. So it's really not that big of a deal, opinion. And obviously I've talked to a bunch of other folks about this as well, and they have the same opinion.
Okay. Now, sometimes fire engines and ambulances make noises as far as the vehicle is concerned. Obviously, if you have the sirens on, it's a different thing. But as far as the sound of the vehicle, does the fact that you have to go over and you have to slow down and speed up, does that affect the noise that's being produced, to your knowledge?
No. I mean, I guess you could potentially hear maybe a squeak and from maybe like a leaf spring, but I mean, inside the unit is nothing that like I've never even noticed. I mean, yeah, we use lights and sirens, but usually once we get to the residential area, we usually cut the sirens off to try not to bother people. But going over a speed hump, I don't think you'd hear much. And if you did, you'd have to be like right up next to the unit to hear it. Like you definitely wouldn't be able to hear it. Like if you're inside your house, you wouldn't be able to hear a unit going over a speed bump. I don't think there's any chance you'd ever hear that.
Okay. Well, I think I got all my questions covered. Nicole, do you have any other questions or?
No, I'm good. I really appreciate your time and answering our questions.
No problem. Well, if anything else comes up, obviously feel free to email me, contact me. If other people have questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Yeah. We really appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
No problem. You guys have a great evening. Okay, take care. Okay, bye-bye. See ya.
Bye-bye.